Going back to pack and steal, I packed the gift to heal. A miracle child like John Coffey from Green Mile. Often they crying me down, lie on me now. Sent spies on me now, but time maintain, tongue is tame. Even though I want to say some things, see the Lord save me from some things. My family see that my life is changed. I hold my peace, the Lord fight for me. Got ghost riders, Holy Ghost right for me. You're trying to oppose God's plan.
Good day. We are so happy on this day. We are bringing you GPAC TV 23's Access Your Inner Wisdom. And we're excited. We're super excited today. This is the month of March 2024, and I am ecstatic to recognize this month as National Kidney Month. I am your host of Access Your Inner Wisdom. And I'm doubly excited because on today, for this month, we have a guest host. I'm honored to present to you on this wonderful airing of National Kidney Month, our very own elite, anointed woman of God. She is in the person of Amanda Robinson Latham. I will now render the floor to our guest host, and I will allow her to tell you whatever she wishes about yourself. Welcome, listeners and viewers, to Access Your Inner Wisdom.
Hi, it is a pleasure to be here. I am so grateful for this opportunity because this month, this National Kidney Month actually holds dear to my heart because my grandmother actually experienced kidney failure, who was very dear to me. So it is an honor to be here and to help educate those about this health issue. So thank you, Chariesse, for inviting me to be your guest host. Yes. And it is an honor for me to meet you, Miss Vanishia Brown. And if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. My name is Vanishia Brown. I am a registered nurse. I've been nursing now for over 2 decades.
Wow. It doesn't look like it.
Yes, thank you.
Goodness.
And I ended up falling in love with nephrology nursing, which is nursing in the care of the kidneys. Years and years ago, I ended up transitioning from inpatient nephrology care to outpatient nephrology care. So there I provided hemodialysis treatments to patients. And for many that don't know, the way that outpatient experience works is you're living at home and then you come into a center, sometimes 3 hours a day, sometimes 4 hours a day, sometimes a little longer.
I'm a little familiar.
And you get your treatment and then you go back and you resume your life. And normally that is a 3-time-a-week treatment. Sometimes it can be a little more. So my love for nephrology nursing started years and years ago, and it has never faded.
Awesome. So tell me, how did you meet Miss Boyd here?
Miss Boyd, is it okay if we talk about your health history?
I think we should. I think our viewers and listeners would love it.
Okay.
Yes.
So Miss Boyd came in as a new patient.
Okay.
She was a different patient.
Okay.
Would you be familiar with that?
Absolutely.
She was a different patient. So a lot of times when patients are first introduced into the setting, it is on the day of their first treatment.
Okay.
That is not something I would recommend, but a lot of times that's the way that it happens. Miss Boyd was different. She came in and she wanted to see the setting first. This was prior to her first day.
Yeah.
And she came in, she was very tense. She was standoffish. She was looking around like, I don't believe that I want to be here.
Wow.
So it was a new experience. It was a busy day, but I saw her and I said, you know what? I'm going to make time for her today.
Awesome. That's wonderful.
And so I paused what I was doing and went over and talked to her and just kind of told her this is the way that it's done. When she finally came for her first treatment, it was still some things we had to reinforce, which was fine. And we had some challenges with our first few treatments. But she was a true champion. She really was. She was a true champion. But what I did see in her was that she was not going to conform to what were the normal rules. And that was wonderful because she was empowered to be a part of her journey.
Awesome.
And that was wonderful.
That is a beautiful story. So, Miss Boyd, tell me, when you first wanted to go and experience that, like she said, it's a little bit different than the normal patients. What made you want to go in first and get the general idea of what you would be going into before your first treatment?
Thank you for that. Thank you, Amanda, for that reminder. And Vanishia, I got emotional because you took us back there. The reason why I wanted to go in is because, first of all, that was happening to me. And me being the person that I am, very inquisitive about everything that concerns me and my loved ones, and also what goes on around me, I had very poor insight. I didn't know what dialysis really was. What I knew about it was like older people, you know, that just looked, can I be honest, like a little grayish. They look gray skin tone, and I was like, that's not me. I'm vibrant, I'm outgoing, like. And then when I went in, like most patients don't do, I wanted to see it. It was during the daytime. And one of the resisting things that I spoke about with my fear of going on dialysis was I don't want to go on dialysis. And they asked me so many times why, and I kept hitting them with all the reasons why. I work, I don't want to stop working. At the time, I'm married, I don't want to stop being a wife with my wifely duties. I don't want to stop traveling, I was a traveler. And when they offered me the tour, it was during daytime. And the daytime patients, 95% do not work. So we have the elderly, the patients that had multiple diagnoses, not just the one like I had. And it was not a beautiful sight in my eyes to look at. When I reflect on a woman that looked like me and that was about what I was about. What you don't know, Vanishia, is I almost fainted on the floor. I almost fainted, I got lightheaded. And I remember the nice nurse that introduced me to you, I almost fainted because I didn't like what I saw.
Overwhelming, right?
Very, and very sad. So they worked with me. They said, oh, we have a night shift for people that work. And I was like, no, you don't, because I called and there's a waiting list. And they said, well, we have a seat for you. We'll give you favor.
Wow.
And I was still resistant. And what soothed me? Vanishia said, I will be your nurse at night.
Wow.
And, you know, I felt her warmth like I do now with both of you. And that was God giving me a level of comfort that I would be in your hands.
Wow. That's amazing. So when I hear your story, it just brings me back to when my grandmother was diagnosed. She was diagnosed due to heart failure, and she had a test done, and the test made her kidneys fail. And in the process, it never came back to its full functionality. And at 76 years old, it was heavy on her. And you know, while we're here right now, just educating the public, I have never heard of this before my grandmother became ill.
Right.
So this is super important to me and dear to me because I felt like if I had known, I could have known to go in early and take my grandmother to experience some things or to ask questions. I didn't know any questions to ask. So this is very important to the public, for the viewers to know how important it is to be knowledgeable of our health. And for you to take the time to say, hey, let me stop what I'm doing for just this one person, because you was able to feel her energy and feel her fear. It's definitely more nurses should be in this field that feel the way you feel. So thank you for your service. Thank you for your compassion, your bedside manner. So Chariesse, that fear, you told you felt like you were about to faint.
Yes.
You said she soothed you by telling you she was going to be on that night shift.
Yes.
Tell me about your first visit to get treatment, though.
Okay, I sure will. It was, you know, it's so much happening right now that's really good. This is 1 year of my show in March.
Awesome.
I started the first Friday in March for my first dialysis treatment. some years back. It must have been 5, 6, or
was a
7.
long time ago.
Who's counting now? Because that's no longer the case, which we'll get into. I was horrible looking. I was standoffish. I was guarded. I was sad. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I didn't want to look at anyone. I honestly just was, I wasn't saying why. I was not saying why. I was just, it was almost surreal. But I remember just not wanting to do it. And what a lot of patients perhaps go through, which I'm sure, there were so many things going on in my personal life at the same time that were almost equally important. And I had got hit with some devastating information regarding my nuclear family that morning.
Wow.
Being discharged 3 days prior from the inpatient hospital when they placed me on dialysis, inpatient, and then coming in, being discharged and coming in that evening after getting hit with some horrible, devastating news that morning. So it wasn't a good experience.
Just a reminder that life doesn't stop because of kidney failure.
Life
So
doesn't stop.
it's in addition to what you already had going on, which must have been very difficult.
It was.
Wow. So tell me, like, when you first got the news, what made you inquire what's wrong with me? What were the signs or the symptoms that led you to say, hey, I need to go to a doctor, something's wrong?
That's a good question, Amanda. And I'm sure our viewers and listeners are going to gain insight by my answer, which I'm going to need help with you with, Vanishia. I went for my regular checkup. I go for annual checkups. And sometimes when you go for regular checkups, you have to take a urine test. So I took my urine test, and my doctor said, hey, I'm going to refer you to the kidney doctor, which is the nephrologist, right? And I said, okay, why? What's wrong? And he said, you have protein in your urine. I don't know what that means. When I think of protein, I think of Kellogg's cereal.
Right.
Protein. And that's how much we, as many individuals of all ethnic backgrounds, especially people that look like me, just have poor insight. I said, protein? But I reluctantly went. I went. And they sent me for, what was it, Vanishia? Did I get an x-ray or, because they wanted to physically look at my kidneys.
Right. So a lot of times they'll do a CAT scan.
Okay.
And then other times they'll do a renal biopsy, which actually stages the kidney disease.
I had both. Okay. So I had both. And how do I know? Because I remember what the doctor stated to me. I remember the doctor stating, your kidneys look great. However, is that GFR? What is it, GFR?
Glomerular filtration rate.
Right. So can you say that again? Because I don't know.
Glomerular filtration rate, GFR.
Yeah. So something for our listeners and viewers and just everyone, GFR was the level that they had to check for me.
Okay.
And a good level is 1.
No.
The horrible level is 5.
So the lower the level, the worse the kidney disease.
Wow.
So what's the best number? I'm sorry, Amanda, I need help.
No, it's great.
You're fine. So your best numbers, you're looking up
is
70,
it 5?
80-ish. Don't quote me on it.
Okay.
But when you start to get down around 10 and lower, you're looking at stage 5, which is the last stage
That's
of
the
kidney
one.
disease.
So I think I was a 3.
Wow.
Was I a 3 probably?
You were low.
I think I had to be a 3 because I held it off for maybe about 2 years or 1 year. So I probably was a 3. If I'm not mistaken, I believe I was a 2.5 or a 3. I would say 3. I'm stuck with 3. I keep hearing 3.
So when you say you held it off, what do you mean by that?
Well, Vanishia stated that I am a
difficult.
No, not difficult. A different type.
Different type. Okay. Yeah. Same thing. Okay. I understand.
Are we really doing this? I'm a different type, and I respectfully challenged my kidney doctor.
Okay.
And I said, why are you telling me that I may go on dialysis? Like, why would you say that to me? I was very vocal going to choose my words carefully on this show. Why would you tell me that? And as I grew into this, and I'm going to jump a little bit, I'm an advocate now. I'm a kidney awareness advocate. And I hear individuals right here where we are in Eastern North Carolina, when the doctor tells them that, they just shake their head. I'm not able to shake my head if I don't understand you. And that's what I encourage anyone that has questions about kidneys. Ask questions. And I said, well, why are you telling me that I'm going on dialysis? Why? Okay. I don't feel no pain. Ain't nothing wrong with me. Why? But I learned that kidney failure is a silent killer. Have you ever heard that?
I have.
Right.
Those were the exact words I heard with my grandmother.
Yes.
It's a silent killer. So, Vanishia, tell me, outside of Chariesse's situation, what are some of the other health issues that can lead to kidney failure?
So 2 of the main issues are diabetes and hypertension.
Those are the main
your
ones.
2 main ones.
Okay.
Diabetes being the forerunner.
Okay.
So as far as diabetes, we have to kind of break apart kidney disease to look at those 2 conditions.
Okay. And
focus on the symptoms of those 2 conditions, because we have a lot of Americans walking around that are diabetic that don't know that they're diabetic. Absolutely. So what happens when you notice that you're getting thirstier? What happens when you're urinating a little more often? What happens when, I'm just eating more? Okay, sometimes it's not just because you're bored, your blood sugars could be elevated.
Okay.
And, we have other symptoms like dizziness, headaches, things like that. That should be a prompt for all of us to say, let me go and see my family doctor. Let's get some tests done. Because what Chariesse said was very important, in that she was not having symptoms,
right,
as she knew it,
right.
Okay, so she was on the machine saying, I don't need to be here. Absolutely. I don't know why I'm here. I'm just gonna let y'all do what y'all gonna do, but I don't need this.
Right.
And looking at it, once we got over the acute phase, then she was able to look back and say, okay, I do feel better. But I think that it's such a chronic condition, and it is the silent killer, that you're not feeling well, but you've adapted to feeling like that. So you really don't know that you're not feeling well.
Right. That's good information.
She's absolutely right.
That is good information. So with that being said, just hearing that, I heard Chariesse say, and I just heard you mention, the main thing is to just go get your normal checkups.
Yes.
It's very important to do that, because had she not done that, she would have not known her situation was that detrimental.
Correct.
If I may say that, right?
I believe so.
Right.
I believe that 100%.
Because she, like she said, you were kind of ignoring the symptoms because they become so normal.
Yeah.
I
would like to share with everyone what some of my symptoms were that I thought
were regular.
Yeah.
Just normal.
I was much heavier. Much heavier. And Vanishia will tell you how heavy I was with fluids. And if I can remember correctly, I remember you said to me, because in like 2 weeks I dropped. In 2 weeks I was like skinny.
37 pounds.
And you was like, Chariesse, you said I'm pulling liters off of you. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Oh gosh.
Yes.
I remember you said that to me a few nights. And Amanda, I was walking slower. To the point that my colleagues noticed it. They was like, Boyd, you don't feel good today? And I was like, I feel fine. They was like, you walking slow. Usually when it's time to get off work, you flying to the gay house like that. I couldn't hardly put my pants on past my calf. I lived 20 minutes from my job. I would pull in my development and fall asleep.
Wow.
And barely make it. I remember at a red light, I would nod off.
Wow.
And I remember some of my coworkers thought that I was expecting. My face was much fuller. And I was down to wearing one set of footwear because my feet were that swollen. Yeah, but prior to the fluid buildup, because that led me to meeting you, prior to the fluid buildup, I did hold it off. And I held it off because I think I was at 2.5 or 3, something like that. And I began to do my research. And I I wanted to do it the natural way. And I seeked out a herbologist, and I found one in New York, which is my native town, city, state. And I would go to New York once a month to meet with my holistic herbologist, and she would make me up some concoction. And coupled with that, I would only drink water and only eat salad. And my kidney doctor would say, "Oh wow, you're still at the same GFR stage. What are you doing?" And I wouldn't tell. I said, "Oh, I'm just drinking water and eating salad." He was like, "Wow," because by now we had you pegged to be on dialysis by now. Well, she was expecting my herbologist, and when she left on maternity leave, she never came back.
Oh, wow.
So I lost that earthly homegrown concoction that she made up. So short while after that, I started building up fluid. Yeah, but it was inevitable, so I was told. But is it true? I don't know. Maybe.
So what do you think, Vanishia? If is that something that's usually reversible, or is it something that definitely need medical attention, especially at her levels that she was at?
So what we know about kidney disease is you can have acute kidney disease, which is what we would call reversible. But a lot of times when we get to the chronic kidney disease has been caused by years of damage from the high blood pressure, from the diabetes. So normally when it's chronic, we do not see the reversal, and we have to treat that. And so in treating that, we look to forms of dialysis, which is important for us to talk about. Because everything doesn't have to be in center. We have other options.
Do we?
We do. So we can do home dialysis.
Oh, wow.
We can do peritoneal dialysis. Not all dialysis is blood dialysis.
Oh, wow.
And with Chariesse, when she came in, if I can share this little story.
You absolutely can.
She started being very participatory in her care.
That's a good word.
It is. And with that, she would tell the technicians, we have technicians in dialysis, exactly where to place her needles. And I stood back and I was kind of looking, and so I said, okay, I think that we should talk about home dialysis. Okay. You know where your needles go. You are very observant of your dialysis machine. You can do this at home. And again, she was, I don't want this in my house. I don't want to think about this, because the way that she handled it was she wanted to keep dialysis separate from her life. And that is a normal part of the process, because the first phase is denial. You don't believe that you have it. And so while she was in that phase, she wanted to separate dialysis from the rest of my life. And so gradually she began to accept it. And when she started to accept it, she started to think more and more. And the next thing that I knew, she was home.
Okay, great. So tell me about your home experience.
Okay. Before I do that, I would like to ask, you spoke about some fancy word terminologies. For those of us that don't know what those words are, can you break those down for our viewers and listeners?
Sure. So we have different forms of dialysis. We have home hemodialysis, which is blood dialysis that is done at home. And so with that being done at home, you're not in a center. You're not around strangers, which I think that cultural part of it is a huge part of it. I remember you, and your seat was all the way at the end. And all of the other patients would be on dialyzing when you walked in. And that's just an experience to me by itself, because you're walking in and everybody is looking. Some people are vocal. Oh, who is she? Where did she come from?
I got that a lot.
You get that, and then it's basically like you're a model on the runway, having to walk past these people. You already don't feel good. You're nervous, and just this whole experience is just something that's very different. So sometimes, busy or not, I would walk down there with her. I didn't want her to think that she was alone, you know.
Awesome.
And I would do the same thing for other patients. Like, you are not in this by yourself. So the home hemodialysis would be just like in-center, where it would actually be blood that's involved. You would access a fistula or a graft, something that's placed in your arm or your leg, and you would do your dialysis seeing blood actually come out of your body, go through a cleansing process, and then return to your body.
Okay.
There is peritoneal dialysis. So this is done through a catheter in the abdomen, does not involve any blood.
Wow.
I have talked to so many patients that have never even heard of peritoneal
You're talking
dialysis.
to just a regular not patient that has never heard of that before until today.
Wow.
So that is definitely something good for everyone to understand and to know.
Yes.
Yeah, wow.
So this is another option. There may be some limitations if you've had a lot of abdominal surgeries. You know, there could be some things that exclude you from it.
Okay.
But more people than not would be candidates.
Awesome.
Yes, and this more mimics our natural body's elimination of waste, because you would actually do it every night. Once you progress to getting on the machine is programmable. You hit a start button and it does the work for you at
Awesome.
night. So you can work during the day, hook up at night, let it do your therapy, unhook in the morning safely, hand washing and all of that, and then go about your day.
I did not like that. I did not want to choose that.
But you
Do you remember
tried
why?
it.
Do you remember why?
So
At night, a machine
huge-
on my body at night, negative.
A huge part of this was Miss Boyd was vocal about her wifely duties, which is something that you have to consider. You
Absolutely.
have to think about the whole person.
Yes.
And so for her, you know, she said, I don't want that interfering with my active sex life.
Okay.
And
As
I
a married
respected
woman.
that. Yes,
As a married woman.
As a married
Yes.
woman.
Miss Jackson,
And so you have to respect that.
Absolutely.
And, you know, so I said, well, you know, you can tie it down. And I tried to dress it up and I tried to sell it, but
Okay.
it didn't quite work. But she did end up going home. But she just proved that you can use your options. There are more
Absolutely.
than one option. And then, of course, eventually we can progress to getting a transplant.
So that's where I wanted to go next. So at what point did you realize that, were you immediately put on a transplant list, or was that something that happened a little later in your treatment?
I actually was put on a transplant list before dialysis.
Awesome. Okay.
Just before dialysis, because when it becomes inevitable that you see it, the team begins to talk to you and meet with you, and I found out that I was eligible.
What makes you eligible?
So there's a lot that goes into that.
Okay.
Eligibility, a lot of times I know every orifice looked at. They look at everything in your body.
Okay.
You get a dental visit.
Yes, I did.
You get a pap smear.
Yep.
You get to be seen by a cardiologist and let them look at your heart. You get to have a colonoscopy. You
Yes.
get to have an endoscopy.
Oh,
they have
wow.
to check all of your bodily organs to make sure, okay, is this a good candidate? Prior to that, they also do a mental evaluation.
Yes.
Are you going to be compliant? You're going to have to take these anti-rejection medicines. Can we count on you to do your part? So there's a lot that's involved with that. Once again, Miss Chariesse was not just going to sit back and go with the program, which
Okay.
I absolutely loved, but she became her own advocate.
good.
So she was on creating sites. She was asking people their blood type along with other patients. And I'm glad to say that everyone that did that has been transplanted.
Yeah.
Wow.
They
Yeah.
became their
It's
own
amazing.
advocates.
It's
Yes.
amazing.
Yeah. To add, if you don't mind, I was grateful that I was able to get on the list.
Yes.
And COVID hit, ladies and gentlemen. COVID hit during my wait. And God is good. I must say this on
Yes.
Access Your Inner Wisdom.
Yes.
Guest co-host Amanda, I have to tell you, the timing of God, your words are intentional.
Absolutely.
I believe I'm guessing this because I think I went on dialysis in 2017, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that. And everyone knows that COVID hit March of 2020.
Yes.
I want everyone to know that I started training for home treatment in October.
Wow.
Wow.
So that was the training where I had to go in. It was the latter part of November when I started going home with the nurse. because the nurse has to watch you, I think, for about 2 or 3 treatments to make sure you're good. Prior to that, let me back up, Miss Amanda. The size of my needles are, was it 15 inches?
15 gauge.
I have 15 gauge needles.
Wow.
So I would tell Nurse Vanishia, there's absolutely no way I'm sticking a needle that long and fat in my arm. Absolutely not. No way. Way. And the way came with Nurse Vanishia worked with the workers, the people that had day jobs for the most part. So after a full day of work, Miss Amanda, you know, you're getting up, you're going to work, and I never missed a beat. I never had to go on medical leave. Most people didn't even know I was on it. And I worked in a correctional facility. So that's why I came in late and I was walking and everybody else was on the machine. Because if you know anything about working in the prison system, you don't do a regular 8 hours.
Correct.
No, I'm not. I wasn't an officer, but I did 10 hours. So I did 10 and 4. I worked 4 days. And that's why I was coming in late. So just try to imagine this. A full day's work, and then you come into the night.
Wow.
And sometimes Nurse Vanishia was overwhelmed with emergencies. Someone was bleeding,
blood
or
pressure
something wasn't working, the access wasn't working. And she's a one-man army with technicians. She's the head. So I'm sitting in the lobby waiting. I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm on dialysis. I gotta go to work in the morning. And I began to get impatient.
I'm sure.
Yeah, that's me. Not to Vanishia, because I knew.
Right.
I just was like, you know what? Let me give it a shot. Because they would come around and they would say, oh, would you like to do it at home? And I think you said, oh, that would be a good candidate. And long story short, as soon as I began to be able to do it at home, we went into COVID. And when we went into COVID, I heard, and you can confirm it, many of the dialysis patients caught COVID because different people are being switched in and out the seats. But by the grace of God, that was my seat in my house. That was my machine.
Because some did not survive.
Some did not survive in the same center that I was in.
Yes.
Wow.
And because of God moving behind the scenes, God will move behind the scenes. And because of God moving behind the scenes, I yet live today. And I digress.
So one of the greater blessings that came was that phone call.
That phone call.
So tell me the moment, because I can relate to another person I know getting a phone call. It's being told you got to always be on standby and be ready. Tell us about the preparations and what's the time frame and how long you have to get to the hospital. Tell us about the whole experience and the feeling you got that came over you when that phone call came in.
The good news is I made local news and I shared my story around town. I don't know if I shot it to you yet, but I will. I made the local news. God had allowed my mom to go home to glory November of 2022. And I was right by her side when she took her last breath. I had true confessions. I had forfeited or delayed some of my dialysis treatments tending to my mom. I had certain days that I had to go in times, and I was very off schedule because I was number one for my mom. And November, 7 days before Thanksgiving, she went to take her rest. And we had to bury her after Thanksgiving because of the holiday. So after we laid her to rest, you know, that's a lot going on. So that first weekend, I was like, finally, I get to stay in my house and just rest. And I'm just going to watch Netflix all day and lay on the couch. And I did just that. First day from all of that. About 11:30 that night, my phone rang. And I picked up, of course, and the person said, listen to her name. She said, this is Faith.
Come on now.
And I'm calling from the transplant. As soon as she said that, I looked at the time, I knew what it was. I said, yes. She said, my first question, is this Chariesse Boyd? I said, yes, it is. She said, my first question is, how fast can you get to ECU Vidant Hospital? I said, in 6 minutes, because I knew what she wanted. She says, well, there's a possibility we may have a transplant for you. I was like,
yes.
I instantly said to her, I said, my mother did it. She's like, what? Excuse? I said, my mother just passed away, and she petitioned God to give me a kidney because the Bible says, and I did the whole scripture, honor your mother and father. And guess what she said? She said, I concur. She said, my mom passed too in November.
Wow.
So we had a bonding. I said, am I going to see you when I get to the hospital? She says, no, I work on a whole nother coast. Yeah. She said, and that's what I do. So my experience was phenomenal. She told me to hurry up and go take another treatment because they knew I did home treatments and get ready.
Wow.
So she said, when the last time I had a treatment? I said, well, I was scheduled to go tonight. I usually do my treatments in the middle of the night. I'm leaving by the hour. She said, go now. Go now. And they were continuously calling me back because the person's kidney that I was going to get had not passed yet. And it was a young person that was 23 years old.
Wow.
So I have a very young, vibrant kidney, and I'm grateful.
Yes.
Glory to God. Wow.
And if we can just take this time just to thank donors.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just to thank donors for everyone that has considered being a donor upon passing. And it's very important for anybody that wants to even consider this to be able to give the gift of life to someone else when you no longer need your organs. We thank you. We thank you. We thank you.
We thank you.
Yes, absolutely. So just hearing that is such a wonderful testimony. For those, like she said, that had to leave the world to give you that opportunity to live. And for, that call to come in and you to realize I got a second chance at life. That's such a blessing.
Yes.
And just you sharing your story is phenomenal. Because someone somewhere need to hear that.
Yes.
That there's still hope if they have faith.
Yes.
So that's amazing. So tell me about your journey. So you tell me you fell in love with this.
Yes.
So what's next?
What is next? So I have been in the treatment arena for a while, and honestly have not been liking what I've been seeing. It's wonderful to be able to meet people like Miss Boyd and to be able to offer treatments, but can we intervene before we get to that point?
Yes.
So this has driven me to go back to school. I've just completed my master's in nurse education.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank
Awesome.
you. And so now what I want to do is work on that side of prevention. How do we teach people to monitor their blood pressures? How do we have access in the community where they can get the blood pressures checked? Same thing with blood sugars. What can we do now to be able to decrease the incidences of end-stage renal disease? That's where my focus is shifting now.
That's awesome. So you on that end, educating, you advocating.
Yes.
Is an awesome teamwork. So I love it that we're here in this moment. I haven't been on either side, but just to experience someone to perish from kidney failure makes me very, very happy to hear that there's people that take that to their heart and really have changed your whole life.
Yes.
I'm sure.
Yes.
Change your whole life just seeing that. Like you said, a lot of people didn't make it past that chair.
Right.
They are not in Chariesse's seat. So that's a blessing.
Yes.
Okay, so as far as just awareness and different things that we can do to help with this prevention, what do you suggest?
I would suggest listening to your body. Am I a little more tired than I normally am? Am I eating more than I normally would eat? We so many times find different things to blame things on. Well, it's cold outside and I'm in the house. So I've just had a day where I just felt like eating because I wasn't doing anything else. When it could be something metabolic going on. It could be something within our bodies, within our cells that's craving more because something is off. So if we can take advantage of health fairs, you can even look now, Walmart, CVS, some of these stores actually have blood pressure machines there. We can take advantage of those. And if you notice any readings that are higher than 130/80, those are our new magic numbers. 130/80 as described by the American Heart Association. Let's go and see a doctor. We don't want those values to run higher than that.
So I would say, a lot of times when we have different body signs, we self-diagnose.
Yes.
I just want to say that as you could probably elaborate,
Yes.
is not a good idea.
Right.
Okay, so go see a medical professional.
Go see a medical professional, and sometimes nurses are the worst at this.
Yes.
Okay.
But we need to see the numbers. Let's just make sure everything
Yes.
is okay. If everything pans out okay, then okay, you were just doing it because it's cold outside and you just wanted to have a Netflix day.
Okay.
Right.
But let's just make sure.
Awesome. So, Chariesse,
Yes.
with your new kidney, what are some of the body changes or some of the things that had to change in your life after transplant?
Okay. Definitely lifetime medication. And we call that what?
Immunosuppressants, so
Yeah.
anti-rejection.
I have to take anti-rejection medications
Okay.
for the rest of my life.
Okay.
Although I'm personally on a quest to find out if I could do something else
I know
that's
you
natural.
Are. I know you are.
I was told that, and I'm definitely compliant. And even with getting on the transplant list and waiting, you must maintain a high level, if not perfect, compliancy. So I do have to transplant because of that. Another life change. When I was transplanted, I was pumped with a lot of saline, which is AKA water, right? Sodium water.
Salt water, yes.
So I was pumped with a lot of salt water, unbeknownst to me. So when I got discharged, which I was discharged in 3 days, just like the Lord thy God.
Wow.
In 3 days, I rose up
Amazing.
and they weighed me. And I said, wait a minute, why am I heavier walking out than I was walking in? And that's when they educated and told me that they had to pump me with a lot of salt water, saline, so that the kidney could begin to get a function. Something that I want to share with our viewers and listeners that even my doctor, my chiropractor doctor, didn't know, because I was in a little fender bender and they check you out. And I kept telling him, be careful on this side because of my kidney. And after like the 4th visit, he was like, Chariesse, why do you keep speaking about this area over here? Your kidneys are in the back. And I said, Dr. So-and-so, the transplants are put in the front. And he humbled himself. Even doctors, Amanda, do not always know.
Absolutely.
It's unfortunate that we have such poor insight. My older brother's here visiting, and I told him that my kidney was here. He said, oh, I thought they put your kidney back there. And I know that we have listeners and viewers that was like, I didn't know that. So that was a change. And I lost a lot of weight because it was just coming off. My face had got brighter, my skin tone changed, my hormones began to wake up, my hair started growing, my nails started growing.
Wow.
Just so many, it was like a rebirth.
A new life.
And with that being said, my change allowed me, I've always been a traveler, and my change allowed me, I traveled with dialysis, but I travel extensively now. If I travel with dialysis, I'll have to come back in 3 days or carry everything with me. So now I can travel. And we didn't talk about this, but you have to have a small fluid intake daily, or I can drink all I want now.
Wow.
So good changes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, Vanishia, so with you on your journey for helping people become aware of this silent killer, what are some of your future goals outside of just attending or what is your long-term goals?
Wow, what a good question. One of my long-term goals is to start from within. So that means looking within my own family.
Oh, wow.
So it starts at home.
Charity
So
starts at home.
it does. And so I have one daughter who is looking into our family history because we want to know what's there.
That's good.
So let's start from there so that we can see what to be on the lookout for. From there, who knows? There may be some little businesses starting out of this.
I can definitely see that.
Yes.
I could definitely see that. So it's amazing just this moment. I believe so many people are going to become more aware, and also go see their doctors
Yes.
for those small signs that they've been experiencing. And so I believe it started right here.
Yes.
This moment has started opening up people's eyes to see a living testimony.
Yeah.
And someone that was on the other side, helping, holding her hand. This has been like such an amazing journey for the both of you, I'm sure. Because I'm sure it was humbling for you just to be in that position as a nurse, to see so many people, you know, either come through or succumb.
Yes. Yes. It's quite an experience.
I
It
can
really
only imagine.
is. And it also just reminds you that sometimes we are just one cell away from the same thing.
Absolutely.
We're no better. We're just one cell away. And so as I looked at Miss Boyd, you know, I'm sitting here thinking, because I've worked in the prison system before, so I know some of the things that she encountered during that day. And so to come in, I had to make sure to keep it consistent for her, because I know she probably had a rough day. I know what it's like to deal with the inmates. Let me be a place of contentment. Let me be a place of encouragement. You know, it's not just jobs for me. You know, I work for God, so it's not just regular jobs for me.
Oh, wow.
So I just wanted to be that place for her and the other patients. You know, I knew my patients' wives' names. I knew their children's names. You know, I knew who to call if something happened. So just to be not just that nurse that has all of the check marks on the job responsibility list checked off, but to really have my heart into what I do.
So I think that's also just a great place to be, to educate nurses.
Yes.
I think that is something that we don't see enough of, is the level of compassion from our medical team.
Right.
Very true.
Because, you know, it's just a job for some.
Very true.
But the ones that's sitting in that chair, it could be such a trial to get there.
Yes.
So to see someone that has such compassion, like, stirs my heart so much joy, because I've seen my grandmother come home very angry from the nurse talking to her very rough.
Wow.
At 76 years old, and me not feeling as pleasant.
Right.
So, you know, and then I recall her having that one nurse that was sweet, that made the difference. That made the difference. And I would like to, you know, kind of chime in on what I think you're feeling. She made the difference. She made the difference, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm sure I could relate to your loving grandmother who's now resting. That one nurse. That one nurse. And we hadn't touched base before COVID. I think I did step in one time with a transplant, right, and see you. And we hadn't touched base in a while, years, because we're in 24 now. So 20, 21, 22, 23, 5 years almost. Vanishia saw me. She heard me.
Yes.
You heard me. She heard me with our supporting community service that we're doing right now. And she shot me a message, and she was like, I heard you. And I see your photos, you look so beautiful. And I was like, I got a transplant. She's like, I know. And Vanishia, you definitely were, not only for me. And as when we're about to close, I will say the others that you've made a positive impact with. And Miss Amanda, I'm glad that your grandmother found someone that was in a place sort of like Vanishia, because that's what it takes.
Yes. And we actually, our family kept in touch with her nurse for so long. I haven't spoken to her maybe a year, but I often would just call her and tell her thank you.
Yes.
Because my grandmother was, you know, maybe the one that didn't know a lot, so she asked a lot of questions. And other nurses would get agitated because I got to go to the next person, or I got this and I got that. And my grandmother, you know, just like, well, I don't understand, you know. So, you know, when my mother couldn't be there, my auntie couldn't be there, my grandmother was nervous.
Right.
This is scary.
Right.
You know, so lastly, Vanishia, tell me, what do you believe that kidney awareness really starts? Where does it really start?
Kidney awareness, it should be something that starts everywhere. So this is not just about when you go to the nephrologist's office. It's not really just about when you go to your primary care physician. What about when you go to see your eye doctor?
Right.
Because Diabetes can affect the eyes.
Absolutely.
So it should start everywhere. Everywhere you see anything that's health related. We can talk about it in the dentist's office because diabetes can affect your gums.
Yes.
So we should be talking about it. And the same thing with high blood pressure can affect your eyes. So we should be talking about this everywhere. If we have men that are going in to see a fertility specialist, let's talk about diabetes there. Because when we don't watch our blood sugar levels, it can affect the sexual function.
Wow.
So everywhere that we have any opportunity to talk about health, it should start there, including our schools.
It's amazing.
Thank you. 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 I want to first say I'm grateful for this segment of National Kidney Month here in the month of March. I am doubly honored to be sitting amongst greatness. Special thank you to our guest host, the up-and-coming PhD receiving Amanda Robinson Latham. I'm esteemed, I'm highly esteemed to be reunited with my #1 nephrology head nurse who just received her second master's.
Yes.
So I'm grateful to be sitting amongst these two women who hold double masters, all because I know them both personally, working for the kingdom of God. I'm grateful for GPAC TV 23. I am doubly honored to be your host, celebrating my 1-year anniversary, March 2024. Think it not strange that it's National Kidney Month, and this is only part 1. We shall be live from our respective locations during this month of March. So stay tuned. You will be able to interact with questions and comments, sharing your testimonies, and God willing, these two individuals will be right in their spots in the comforts of their various locations, ready to receive you, and all of you. You can certainly find us on GPAC TV 23. Visit our website. We are gpactv23.org. We are on all social media areas. You can find us on Facebook. We will be on Facebook Live. We are also on Roku TV. We are on YouTube. GPAC TV 23, Chariesse Boyd. I am your host of Access Your Inner Wisdom, and we're grateful. I'm grateful for Amanda Latham, and I am grateful for Vanishia Brown, and I'm totally endeared to be grateful for GPAC TV 23. This is part 1. Stay tuned and watch our airings for part 2. Kidney awareness, what you did not know. Thank you for tuning in.
Going back to pack and steal, I packed the gift to heal. A miracle child like John Coffey from Green Mile. Often they crying me down, lie on me now. Sent spies on me now, but I maintain, tongue is tame. Even though I want to say some things, see the Lord save me from some things. My family see that my life is changed. I hold my peace, the Lord fight for me. Got ghost riders, Holy Ghost right for me. You're trying to oppose God's plan.